Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to Mrs. Bandu's Math Movies. This is for Course 2, 4th period, Lesson 5-1. In this chapter, we're going to deal with ratios. So let's get right into it. Ratios, our objective in this lesson is to write ratios and use them to compare quantities. All right, so we're going to start off with a couple of definitions, or our first one is ratio. A ratio is a comparison of two quantities by division. Okay. Now, you can write a ratio in three ways. One of them is the word 2, so 5-7. The other way to write exactly the same thing is 5:7. We would say 5 to 7. Or as a fraction, 5/7. And we would probably either say 5/7 or 5 to 7. All three of these things mean exactly the same thing. We're going to find, though, that oftentimes writing it as a fraction is the most efficient and user-friendly way to do it. So we're going to spend most of our time writing them that way. You should know all three ways, though, because sometimes you're asked to simply say, what are the three ways? And you got to show me. If I wanted to do it with variables, I could say a to b with the colon, or a to b as a fraction where b is not 0, because a divided by 0 is undefined. Okay. Equivalent ratios are ratios that name the same number. Okay, so let's get started. Writing ratios. There are 7 red stripes and 6 white stripes on a flag of the U.S. Write the ratio of red stripes to white stripes in 3 ways. So there are red stripes, there are 7. So I'm going to write 7. I already have a colon here, so I'm going to write the word 2 in between. There are 6 white stripes. So that's one way to do it. I can write it with the colon. The first number also is always going to be your top number, so 7 to 6 in a fraction, 7/6. So these are your 3 ways to write it. You always want to be sure that whatever your first term, the ratio something to something, the first something is represented by the first number that you write. The second item or object is by the second number that you write. Okay. Quick check is going to ask you a couple of questions about the piano keys here. The white keys are kind of gray. The black keys are clearly black. So they're not going to look white, just so you know that. You'd figure it out anyway. Just thought I had to say it for some reason. Okay. Let's look on the back at example number 2, writing equivalent ratios. If this looks like equivalent fractions, guess what? It works the very same way. So if my ratio is 14 to 4, I find the greatest common factor of 14 and 4, which is 2, and I'm going to divide each of those by that. So 14 divided by 2 gives me a 7. 4 divided by 2 gives me a 2. So the equivalent ratio here is 7/2, and we're going to leave as an improper fraction if it's a ratio. Generally, we don't write ratios as mixed numbers. Okay? All right, now, here's one that's a little bit different. We want to write the ratio 2 pounds to 56 ounces as a fraction in simplest form. Okay, so what we have to do here is that we have to convert both of these into the same type of unit. Generally, it's best to convert to smallest unit. Okay, so ounces are smaller than pounds, so I'm going to convert to ounces. There are 16 ounces in every pound, so if I have 2 pounds, I'm going to multiply by 16. So 2 pounds is the same as 2 times 16, or 32 ounces. And this is already in ounces, so I'm going to leave it alone. So this is going to give me 32 over 56. The greatest common factor would be 8 ounces, or 8. Think about it that way, but we're dividing by ounces. 32 divided by 8 is 4. 56 divided by 8 is 7. No label goes on this, okay? So in simplest form, this is 4/7, or 4 to 7. Okay, so again, sometimes you're going to have to convert to a common unit. If you'll go to the smallest unit, it'll keep your work in whole numbers and make your life much easier. You may have to refer back to that conversion chart that we worked with a little bit earlier. It is in the back of your book if you need to find it. And finally, we want to compare ratios. The ratio of girls to boys enrolled at King Middle School is 15 to 16. There are 159 girls and 208 boys in grade 8. Is the ratio of girls to boys in grade 8 equivalent to the ratio of girls to boys in the entire school? Okay, so what I want to do is I want to take each of these and write those ratios, girls to boys, girls to boys. The easiest thing to do then in a case like this is to convert this to a decimal. And remember, to convert a fraction to a decimal, it's the numerator divided by the denominator. So I'm going to take 15 and I'm going to divide by 16, and I get the decimal 0.9375. Now you should be, if you haven't grabbed a calculator, you should, or at least go back later and double check with the calculator. Be sure you can get this. Same thing here, it's going to be 195 divided by 208, top divided by bottom, just like we have practiced in the past. And I get 0.9375. Okay, so I got exactly the same answer. So since the two decimals are equal, the ratio of girls to boys in grade 8 is equivalent to the ratio of girls to boys in the entire school. Okay, so here again, write as a decimal, first term or numerator divided by denominator, and then compare. All right, so you have a couple of more quick checks down here. Please have these complete for next time we meet. I'll see you soon. Bye now.